Legenda kaže da je sve počelo kada se nemački vinogradar udaljio od vinograda tokom berbe i po povratku zatekao svo grožđe zaleđeno. Želeći da prihvati poraz, nastavio je sa berbom zaleđenog voća, presovao ga i nastalo je ledeno vino ili ice wine. Međutim, postoje zapisi da je u antičko doba u prvom veku nove ere spremano je u Starom Rimu. Veruje se da su nemački doseljenici u Kanadu doneli tradiciju spremanja ovog vina, te je počelo da se sprema od 70. godina 20. veka.
When wineries present their products, they often emphasize the cultural inheritance. What is your attitude about it?
I think every wine has a story to tell. And I know that winemaking in this region, in Serbia, and other countries, goes back even to Roman times in some cases. And I think that's an important story because I think it's lovely when you pick up a bottle of wine in a store, in a restaurant, and you know a little bit about that history. It makes you enjoy the wine even more, I believe. And so I think those wines that have a long history, a long tradition, they should share that tradition. But it's also wonderful to see that so many new wineries are springing up in Serbia and in other countries because there is such wonderful potential here and there are so many good wines being produced that I'm really happy to see new wineries opening as well that will develop their own history.
Zemlja raskošnog prostranstva, 6 vremenskih zona, najduže obale na svetu i oko 2 miliona jezera. Zahvaljujući klimi, u Kanadi se sprema ledeno ili ice wine. Ogroman poduhvata za male količine vina, rizičnost samog uzgoja i spremanja, nepovoljni klimatski uslovi te stroge zakonske regulative doprineli su visokim cenama ovog vina. Cena je zahtevala smanjivanje boce, te se ovo vino prodaje u bocama od 187 ml ili 375 ml. Najkvalitetniji primjerci obično odležavaju hrastovim buradima. Obzirom da je retko i skupo, sprema se za one sa dubljim džepom i za one koje vole probrane, izuzetne stvari. Služi se ohlađeno i s obzirom da je dezertno vino, služi se sa čokoladnim musom, panakotom, sladoledom ili cheesecake-om. Za razliku od konvencionalnog vina, služi se u manjim čašama. Uparuje se uz jake sireve kao roquefort, gorgonzolu ili parmezan i da odlično uz pikantna jela, uz kari i tajlandsku kuhinju, izvanredno i uz foie gras ili kad već u Kanadi, degustira se uz poutine, francusko-kanadski specijalitet. Zbog svoje prirodne kiselosti, fine strukture, dobro izbalansiranog ukusa, može se smatrati dezertom u čaši. Urbana legenda kaže da je Joseph de Marie od Nijagare prodao bocu svog vina Chardonnay saudijskom princu po ceni od $30.000.
Canada is not usually connected with wine production, but usually as a great wine lover. But Canada has ice wine. What is ice wine?
In fact, Canada for many years was not a traditional wine producer. It's true, and people in the early days of Canada, people didn't drink so much wine. They drank other types of alcohol. But over the years, winemaking has become a very strong industry in Canada. There are only a few regions of Canada that are warm enough to have the right kinds of grapes to make good wine. And those are particularly along the west coast in British Columbia, but also in Ontario, in the Niagara region and along Lake Ontario. And we now actually have a flourishing wine industry. So producing many different kinds of wines, white and red and rosé and sparkling. And so we see that our industry is growing. They don't export so much yet that we're ready to import Canadian wines in Serbia. But I hope we'll get there one day. But about ice wine. So ice wine is a very specific product and it's what has made Canadian wine the most famous. And ice wine is produced when you let the grapes freeze on the vine and then in the wintertime when they're completely frozen, you collect the grapes. So there's not very much liquid left in them, of course, and then you press them and you develop a very sweet, very intense, flavorful wine. And so it's very expensive because it takes so many grapes to create a small amount of ice wine, but it is a fantastic, delicious, sweet wine. I like to think that only Canada makes ice wine. There may be other countries that have variations of it, but Canada is very well known for its ice wine, yes.
To be authentic, to be innovative are some of the key factors for success. Is the ice wine Canada's wild card?
Well, I think ice wine has definitely become a brand, a Canadian brand that is known around the world. And from many countries, you have wine connoisseurs who like to import Canadian ice wine because it's so very well known. But it is important to be innovative, to come up with new ideas, and that, I mean, so this production of ice wine has really taken off as a Canadian brand, as a Canadian something that Canada is known for. But I think other wineries as well, so more traditional winemakers in Canada, they also have to be innovative. Canada is not known as a wine country particularly, so you have a lot of wineries now that are trying to use different ways to generate excitement, generate interest in their products. So you have a lot of really interesting label designs, for example, or building on our Indigenous culture of Canadian Indigenous people to celebrate the wines that are made in regions where they live. And so the wineries are looking at different ways to really promote themselves and promote their products in a way that make people excited to try their wines.
Is the wine tourism Canada's potential?
Absolutely. I think that Canada already sees a fair degree of wine tourism. Again, for those people who know about Canadian wines, but there is lots of potential to do more and more wine tourism. And some of the areas of Canada where wine is produced have beautiful countryside, beautiful towns and villages with beautiful older homes. You can stay in bed and breakfasts and go and visit wineries, do different tours. It is a great way to see Canada and to enjoy a great holiday in Canada.
Do you like to have a glass of wine with family and friends?
I do, of course. My husband and I love to have a nice glass of wine with our dinner. I don't usually have wine during the day because I'm at work, but in the evening, on the weekends, it's a lovely way to relax and to enjoy. And I must say, we have really been trying so many wines from Serbia and really enjoying them because there's very high quality wine of different kinds, red, white, rosé, sparkling, that we've really been enjoying to try here.
On which basis does the bottle of wine reach your hand?
Well, I'd say there are a few factors. I grew up in a family where we enjoyed wine. My parents were wine drinkers. My father even made wine for a while. My sister is a professional sommelier, so we learn a lot about wines in our home. My husband used to be a restaurant owner in several countries, and he also knows a lot about wine. So I've been, even though I can't say that I'm a wine connoisseur myself, but I've had the great fortune of having people around me in my life who know a lot about wines and who can share their knowledge and who have helped to pick the wines that we will be drinking. But as I said, going to visit a winery, knowing something about the history of that wine, that I also find that really adds to the pleasure, and so that helps to pick which wine we want to try.
What are you expecting of the wine?
Well, what do I expect from wine? I expect the wine to have a taste that I enjoy. I really like for wine to have some kind of story around it. I like to know a little bit about the winemaker, the winery where the wine is made, and we've had a great time so far in our 2 years in Serbia, visiting a few wineries and seeing their history, seeing their production, and so that once I've been to a winery, of course, it makes me enjoy the wine even more, and really just a good taste and something that I can enjoy with my family and friends.
What would be a good closure?
I think Serbia has great wine potential, and there are already well-established, very successful wineries. I'm glad to see more wineries are opening, are getting established. I really hope to see good trade regionally between the different countries of southeastern Europe, and I hope that one day we will find ourselves in a situation where we're importing more Canadian wines into Serbia, but also exporting more Serbian wine into Canada, because I think that would be great for Canadians and for Serbs.